All right, guys, welcome back to the final key knowledge dot point that we cover in marketing, technological developments that have impacted marketing is what we're talking about here. So here's our study design, and here is where it sits in there now. I know we've taken this out of order, really because this is the only key knowledge dot point that's been included in the new study design for 2023. Everything else was already sitting in there before, and they've added this one in now, which absolutely makes sense if you think about, or some of the stuff that we're going to look at in this video in particular. The last study design ran from 2017 through to 2022. And look, even since 2017, the impact that technology has had on, everything really, but marketing, so we're talking about here, is huge. It's vastly changed the kind of marketing landscape, which is why it made sense to include this now as one of our key knowledge dot points. So anyway, it gives us a bit of a script. You can see there technological developments in marketing, such as, and there's a list of stuff. So that's what we're going to focus on, okay? So look, the reality is, what are we talking about here? Technology's had a massive impact on the way businesses market their products and services, okay? The main advantage that the technology now gives businesses, that they can tailor and personalize their marketing efforts much more towards individuals than what they used to be able to do. So there's kind of a couple of reasons for this. Change in the way that businesses interact with their customers via technological means, and also the amount of information that is now generated. And kind of a combination of both of those things means that businesses now have a much, much greater ability to understand the wants and needs of their customers, and even also understand their purchasing behavior much more than what they used to be able to do. Okay, so the reality is, if businesses are going to stay competitive in 2023 and beyond, they need to be looking at adopting the latest developments in technology. Otherwise, they risk becoming uncompetitive, obviously, if that's all their competitors are kind of getting on board with all this stuff. Okay, so that's why the importance of this. So, as always, I've just mentioned there's a script for this one. We'll always stick to that when the study design provides one for us. So these are the 6 kind of categories, a list of 6 technological developments that the study design mentions. So that's how we structure this video. These are the ones that you need to know about. Okay, so starting off with social media. Okay, now I know you all know what social media is, but could you actually define it? So here's a couple of different definitions. Online platforms used to connect with others, share content. Websites and apps that enable users to create and share content or to participate in social networking. Lots of different ways to define it, but you need to be able to come up with a definition that works for you. So, huge engagement with social media has significantly changed the way lots and lots of businesses interact with their customers, connect with their customers. And a lot of businesses now are shifting their marketing efforts away from more kind of traditional marketing means, such as newspapers, TV, radio, that sort of thing, and shifting across much more to social media. Okay, so Facebook, Instagram, obviously probably the most recent one, the one which you guys are all over, that I've never even seen, is TikTok. So just to put some perspective, some numbers around this, as of July 2023, there's around 5 billion active social medias globally. Okay, now that number was around 3 billion in 2018, so only 5 years ago. That's a huge growth in just 5 years. And again, kind of comes back to why now this is included in the latest study design, because the figures, almost double what it was 5 years ago. I think there's more people on the planet living under the poverty line than don't have social media. It's just insane. And like I say, it's hugely growing all the time. So those huge numbers mean that businesses can use these platforms to increase their brand awareness to a much more targeted audience based on demographics much more easily than what they could once do. Okay, so businesses can target users based on gender, age, their location, their interests, their behaviors, website visits, a whole bunch of other factors that allows them to be much more specific with their marketing efforts. Now, each platform has different ways of reaching customers or the potential customers, and they can all be used in different ways. And that's kind of what we get into in a minute. Okay, so social media provides brand visibility, voice engagement, and also it's much cheaper than using the traditional marketing methods that businesses once had to do. So the key is here, though, for each particular business is to decide which social platforms best suit the needs of that business, because not all platforms are going to suit all businesses, clearly. So we'll look at the main players, I guess, look at how they're used from a marketing point of view by businesses. Okay, starting off with Facebook. So lots and lots of options with Facebook. Okay, it allows for creation of groups, business pages, adverts. You can create a business page with lots of information about your business. Lots of different types of content can be included on there, videos, images, texts, all sorts of stuff. Now, strength of Facebook is that they provide a really, really comprehensive kind of suite of analytical data that businesses can then access to evaluate the performance of their marketing strategies that they're using on that platform. Okay, so a huge amount of information you can get from Facebook around how people are interacting with your page, basically. Another advantage or another positive of Facebook is that it kind of has a much broader appeal in terms of age ranges than some of the other platforms. You know, even I have a Facebook account. I don't particularly use Facebook. I don't post on or anything, but every now and again I'll go and have a kind of look around. So even someone of my age, in fact, even my mother-in-law, who's in her mid to late 70s, even uses Facebook. So Facebook, yeah, quite a broad age range that it appeals to. So, you know, people marketing products that appeal to different age groups could potentially get involved in this one. Instagram, so this one really relies, as you will be aware, on visual content, so pictures, videos, stories. You can post and enhance all that sort of stuff with filters. You can also do live broadcasts on Instagram. Again, as you know, you guys will be all over this one. So a large part of the marketing focus of this platform is collaborating or co-promoting with influencers. Hate that term. But yeah, influencers has become a thing. So influencers who operate in the same target market of yourself, you can do these collaborations, obviously, and that's a huge part of how Instagram works. YouTube marketing, lots of different ways that YouTube can be used to promote your products, your services, or just your brand. Creating promotional videos so you can create a channel for your own business, put promotional videos up there. Again, you can work with influencers. You can use YouTube ads. Lots and lots of different ways in which you can engage with the YouTube platform. Again, I think a key benefit of YouTube is the wide range of ages that it covers, a little bit like Facebook. Again, I'm a pretty extensive user of YouTube. Look, the ads don't work on me because I tend to use premium accounts which block the ads. But most people, use free YouTube, and you're obviously exposed to a whole range of ads there. So lots of different ways in which you can engage with this. So it allows small businesses to reach customers in ways in which were previously only available to large companies. Okay, so it allows small businesses to become much more competitive. And again, it also provides super detailed metrics and information that you can then analyze to kind of guide your future content creation. Okay, very, very complex, a huge amount of information that you can get from YouTube when you post on there, which can kind of let you know how successful certain things were, what type of content people are enjoying, who's watching what the most, that sort of stuff. So very, very useful information that you can get out of YouTube in terms of making future marketing decisions. LinkedIn, one that you guys are probably not all over. So this is, I used to call it Facebook for adults in a way. Look, it's the social network for professionals. Okay, so this is extensively used in the corporate world. A lot of recruitment is done via LinkedIn these days, but people make, connections within industries, within career types, that sort of thing. Can be used to generate leads, to improve brand awareness, just generally fostering business relationships and partnerships. in lots and lots of different ways. Again, content can be shared, but it also can be used to drive traffic to your particular business website. Okay. Moving on to Twitter. Now, look, Twitter is obviously basically a news channel, but what it does allow businesses to do is to have contact with their customers. So a business can build this social capital by retweeting popular and relevant tweets that are relevant to their business, using hashtags to improve content visibility for their business. And you can also create Twitter exclusive deals for your followers. So hopefully by now you can see, like, all these social media, but if you think about how they work and the way that people engage with them, they can be used in slightly different ways from a marketing perspective. Okay, so Snapchat, targeting a teenage market clearly through the sharing of videos and pictures. The idea is here, obviously, you show your followers and your audience that you're more than just a business, you're people. Okay, it gives you a chance to put kind of your brand's personality out there in the spotlight a little bit more than maybe some of the others. And if people relate with your snaps, the idea is they then become more engaged with your brand. And if they're more engaged with your brand, they're more likely to buy from you, hence marketing. And then TikTok. Okay, TikTok mainly uses a fun application, I think originally, to show trends. It's actually become a really, really powerful marketing tool. So, other than you lot, showing off your cool dance moves, which is, I think, well, historically it was used a lot for, businesses now are able to create content in the form of short, easy to digest video clips and reel people in by explaining what their brand does and how they can help you. Okay, businesses come up with creative and engaging ways to promote what they have to offer. But like some of the other social media platforms, this one really is aimed more at a younger audience. I guess what's interesting here, because this is all about, well, a large part of this is about these short videos. YouTube then had to kind of come back. This is really, YouTube Shorts was in response, I think, to TikTok. So the YouTube Shorts, and I know from my own sons who produce some YouTube videos, YouTube Shorts is a way to go in terms of getting views and getting stuff seen. In literally a couple of hours, you can have thousands of views with a short, which doesn't really happen with a regular YouTube video. So you can see even the various social media platforms are adapting themselves to compete with other social media platforms. And it's really interesting to see how these things are kind of evolving over time. Okay, some of the best campaigns just from 2023. I've heard of a couple of these, but not all of them. But look, you might recognize some of these. And look, this is an example of social media marketing done really, really well. If you've heard of any of those campaigns, that probably means, that's an indication of its success. It's this idea of something going viral, people hearing about it, people knowing about it. So look, just a few campaigns there, which I'm sure you will be aware of at least some of those. Now, what we'll do is just look at some advantages and disadvantages with each of these 6 types of technology that businesses are using. Look, I'm not going to generally talk through too many of these. I think these are pretty straightforward. So what I suggest you do is when we get to these tables, just pause the video and jot these down so that you have them in your notes and you can use them later. But generally speaking, I don't think there's anything within these particular screens that is particularly difficult to understand or needs further explaining. I guess that maybe one thing to point out here, this idea of negative posts, damaging reputation and brand. I guess that one kind of lead on from that is that, look, there are actual jobs now, social media managers. So a lot of businesses now hire either a person or a team of people just literally to manage their social media. So these people would be managing, obviously, the social media pages for the business, but also being across them and looking at posts and looking at how people are maybe responding to negative comments and that sort of thing. So yeah, this is, there's managing your social media has become more of a thing. It's very easy to be seen in a negative light if people are posting negative stuff. So you want to manage the kind of negative impact to that. So we're now crossing into public relations, if you think about it as well. There's become a kind of a closer link now between managing your social media and public relations. The two are kind of quite closely interlinked. All right, the second type of technology, email marketing. Process of sending personalized emails to existing customers to promote a business's goods and services. Pretty straightforward. Popular digital strategy to connect with customers who have consented, and this is key, have consented to receive information, okay? Different types of emails could be sent depending on the goal, but this idea of consent, so, you'll get those emails where you can unsubscribe, get a link to unsubscribe. This is really, really important because otherwise you're crossing the kind of bridge into like the area of spam, and you don't want to be spamming people. And there's also now more and more laws around that as well. But even without breaking the law, you don't want to make people feel like you're spamming them, because then that becomes annoying. So the idea is with this stuff, the email marketing is just to people who've consented to receive communication from you. In terms of the goals, that there's different things you could be trying to achieve. It could be promotional emails where you're advertising new product releases or providing exclusive offers to select customers to generate sales in a particular area. Just informational emails, so where you're providing customers with details about improvements or maybe changes to existing products. Re-engagement emails. So this is where you're trying to reconnect with customers or subscribers who maybe haven't purchased from you in a little while. So that's 3 examples, but there's always going to be a focus. Whatever type of email you're going to generate, there's got to be kind of a goal in mind. And that can vary, depending on what you're trying to do and with which set of customers. Again, advantages, disadvantages. So I would be pausing the video here in a second. But again, I'll just point out the disadvantages here, this idea of customers becoming frustrated by a perceived constant stream of emails. In fact, look, I subscribe to various things, and you often now have the choice. Do you want to receive like a daily email, a weekly email, a monthly, or like just when there's something major to announce? So more and more businesses are using this a little bit more cleverly in terms of how they kind of engage with the customers, because businesses are very aware that they don't want to be, pissing off their customers by making them feel they're being bombarded the whole time. So they allow customers now to choose the frequency at which they're contacted. So that's a pretty clever way of doing it. Okay, but yeah, basically advantages, disadvantages there for you. So get those down into your notes. Third one, search engine optimization. This is absolutely key these days. So this is the process that businesses use to make sure that their website ranks higher in search results when customers search for goods or services related to that particular type of business online. Okay. Basically what we mean here is you want your business to appear high on the list of results when pumped into a search engine. And we say search engine, but really we know we're talking about Google. I mean, Google is become a verb. It's the one that we all use. So basically you want your business, if, people pump in looking for a particular type of business, you want your business to be appearing at the top of the list. Okay. Kind of pretty obvious. So unlike paid search advertising, search engine optimization is free, kind of to a point, which I'll kind of mention in a minute. It involves the use of natural search results. Okay, to make the most of this marketing opportunity, what a business needs to do is research the elements that search engines look for, that Google looks for, such as keywords, visitor behavior, etc., to make sure that your website is ranked as high as possible when search results are listed. So analysis has shown. Now these figures, look, there will be lots of data around this. These are just give you an idea. So that the actual numbers, whatever. But look, websites at the top get 42% of the traffic. The second listing gets 11%. The third gets 8%, which basically means if you're below third, if you're sort of fourth onwards, you're not going to get much traffic coming to your website. So really, like number one on its own is going to get nearly half the traffic. So if you can be number one, that's going to place you in a really, really big advantage as compared with your competitors. So here's an example. Just plug into Google plumber Diamond Creek. You're at home on the weekend, something goes wrong with your plumbing, and I need a plumber, I don't have a plumber. First thing everyone does, pumps that into Google, and you can see, so Diamond Creek Plumbing, blah, 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 Lloyd Plumbing. So they're the ones that are really going to be getting the calls. So it's really, really important that you work out how you can be at the top of the list. So again, advantages and disadvantages. Now, I'm just going to point out one here, this one, the top disadvantage you see there, businesses can pay for higher rankings. So that this does get very, very complex. What you'd really want to be doing is contacting a social media marketing expert, and there's an increasing number of those around, because there are ways that you can kind of jump to the top of the queue by essentially paying or through other means. It's not all just about search terms and all that kind of stuff. There are ways that you can engineer to become at the top of the list. And there are experts out there that can help you to do it. So for a small business owner like a plumber or an electrician, I think that's really, really important, because, like I say, the first thing that everybody does when they need one of these tradies who they don't have a contact already, they just plug it into Google and they'll just call the first one or two. So contact one of these people, talk to them, and ask them, how do I get myself to the top of the page? Because that is what this is all about. Okay, the fourth technology, AI. Okay, we're all aware that AI is becoming a bigger thing. We're all aware of ChatGPT. Lots and lots of forms of AI is impacting lots and lots of aspects of life. So in terms of a definition, you've got at the top there, so AI is software that is able to mimic the behavior of humans. That's essentially what AI is. Okay, it's about mimicking human behavior. Okay, it's increasingly being used by businesses to enhance the customer experience and maximize the success of marketing campaigns. It also allows businesses to collect and analyze data, which can then be used to gain customer insights and predict customer behavior moving forward. And then that information can be used to make automated marketing decisions designed to target particular customers, and allows a business to predict the needs and wants of particular customers. So you can see that basically what this is doing is really what humans have been trying to do, or kind of can do to a point, but would take much longer. This is like with most AI, this is automating the process and kind of, I guess, making it almost instantaneous. So it's speeding up the entire process of making marketing decisions through the use of AI. Now, one of the main ways in which businesses are using AI these days is through the use of chatbots. Okay, so again, I'm recording this in 2023. Whenever you're watching this, chatbots have become huge now, okay, for customer inquiries, assistance, providing product recommendations, all that sort of stuff. It's absolutely revolutionizing, yeah, that's a word, the way that businesses connect with their customers and their potential customers. And I'm assuming you will have experienced this yourself at some point. So look, there's a website that I happen to use every now and again. You just go into, the main front page, click on the link to the main business page, and you can see down there to the right, what I'm now highlighting, there's the chatbot. So, it's this idea, this little chat box comes up and it's like someone as the other end, like a real person. Can I help you? What can we do for you today? And I think actually the reality is a lot of people that maybe not so clued up think they are actually talking to someone live online. But you're not. This is a chatbot. This is AI. Okay, so what is it saying there? Chat started. So we believe in quality service, blah, blah, blah. And then you can type in your chat, and it is very impressive. When you use one of those things, it is like you're talking to a real person. So I get why some people are fooled by it. Here's another one, AGL Energy, big energy company, and again you go into their homepage, and straight away we've got the little chatbot appears, and you can interact with some AI robot at the other end. And so on and so forth. Peloton, these new fancy schmancy digital, bikes, bikes for your house. I forget what you call them now, with a big screen. Huge business these days, doing super well. And again, you go into their website, and there is your little chatbot. So yeah, chatbots. A really, really extensive use of them in business these days to connect with customers. So again, advantages, disadvantages, standard stuff, pause the video, get these down. Obviously it means, you can use less people, because you're getting AI to do the job of what people once were doing. So in other words, answering the phones or whatever. So it replaces people. So there's some cost savings maybe there. On the negative side, people now are twigging that they're actually not talking to a real person. They might prefer to speak to a real person. So you might get a bit of negativity around that. Look, you're going to see any disadvantages with a lot of this stuff. Cost, yeah. The initial investment in this technology up front is often very expensive, and again, it's like a lot of things in business. Okay, so it can cost a lot of money up front to invest in the stuff, but in the longer run, it's going to save you money because you're employing less people. It's kind of how things work, and a lot of this stuff works in exactly the same way. But anyway, there we have our advantages and our disadvantages of using AI from a marketing point of view. Moving on to our fifth of the six. Okay, data analytics. Okay, this is the process of examining information that's been collected by the business in order to make conclusions, to maybe make predictions, answer any questions, and to make effective decisions. That's what data analytics actually is. So the reality is that these days, businesses now have the ability to collect absolutely vast amounts of data. Okay, and actually through some of the other developments we're talking about in this video. Okay, also through loyalty cards, for example. If you've got a loyalty card for Woolies or for Coles or whatever, and you use it every time that you shop, you do your shop and you scan it at the checkout, they have an absolute history of everything you've ever bought from that store and at what time it was and everything. Huge amount of information. So the point is that once businesses have all this information, okay, once they've got all that stuff, they need to then analyze it to understand customer behavior and then devise marketing strategies in response to that. Okay, so there's no point in having all this information if you're not going to do anything with it. Okay, so analysis might include response to past marketing campaigns, purchasing history, like I said, through loyalty cards that store all that information, interaction with social media platforms, even potentially. Okay, whatever the data is being analyzed, end result is always to use this to come up with more personalized and more targeted marketing campaigns. Okay, to drive sales. That's always what's sitting behind all of this. Okay, using the information to more cleverly market to your customers and your potential customers. And clever marketing generally means more targeted marketing. Okay, advantages and disadvantages. Again, we talk about cost, time, implications of all of this thing, which is a bit of a common theme through these. But again, pause the video and get those down into your notes. And then sixth one, management of data. Look, this really is very closely related to the last one, data analytics. Maybe just takes things a little stage further. So this, though, refers to about how a business collects, organizes, and then stores all of this data that we've just been talking about securely, and then how it uses that data to actually make business decisions. This is kind of an extension on, or sits alongside, data analytics, that the fifth one we just talked about. So we already said there that data can be collected from a really, really wide range of sources. Okay, vast amount of data coming from lots and lots of different places these days. Okay, you can put this data into two categories. Okay, two categories. First one, structured data. Okay, so structured data in this context is highly organized information that has already been indexed and already uploaded into database. So this is information that is coming straight from your point of sale transactions, straight from e-commerce and online transactions, loyalty cards, or behavioral transactions like clickstream data. So if you're using social media sites, the number of times people are clicking on your sites or certain links within your sites. So if you think about it, this structured data is stuff that's kind of auto-generated from other technologies. That kind of makes some sense. So on the flip of that, we then have unstructured data. Okay, so this is more your people generated type information. So this is stuff that's revealing more about people's opinions, emotions, and more about people's relationship or your customer's relationship between themselves and you as the business. And this kind of information is the stuff that's contained in emails, audio files, video files, blogs, social media posts. So if you think about it, this isn't stuff that is just auto-generating and can be stored in a table somewhere. This is stuff that kind of needs to be kind of looked through and filtered a little bit more. So this stuff is kind of harder to manage and to analyze, I guess. So whichever the type of data we're talking about, whether it's structured or unstructured, it then needs to be stored in a form that is then able to be used for or by marketers. Okay, two common techniques used by marketers to analyze the data. First off, data mining. So this is where they review huge amounts of data and they're looking for consistent patterns or relationships between kind of data sets. Okay, so one technique they use, marketers use in particular in this respect, is to establish patterns through association, for example. So for example, in the supermarket game, the marketers will tell you that people often buy bread and milk in the same transaction because they're just pantry staples. So when people do their weekly shop, it's usually going to include some bread and it's usually going to include some milk. And that information in and of itself is useful to a marketer in terms of coming up with marketing strategies moving forward. And they would have lots and lots of connections between different types of products or the time at which products are bought, all kinds of stuff. Another technique that they use to classify customers' demographic attributes, so age, address, all this sort of stuff. So think about this one. How often when you've gone to the checkout to pay for something in store, do you get asked for your postcode? Okay, happens all the time these days, and they'll punch it in. And again, that postcode is linked to that transaction. And what that does, it provide marketers with information that they can then use later moving forward. It's all about collecting information. Sometimes they even ask for your address, they'll ask for mobile phone numbers, but the postcode is often a really quick and easy way just for the checkout person to get, which then provides valuable information, which then is stored by that business and is used later. The second way in which the information is used is through text mining. So this is using technology more to analyze documents, kind of looking for key concepts, key phrases, key words, that sort of thing. Also used to identify and categorize opinions contained in a text. So this is kind of more trawling through social media posts, reviews, articles, that sort of thing. Not saying that necessarily people are doing this. Again, it's using technology to do it, but again, this is a much more analytical, and this gives you information of a different kind of nature to what the data mining that we looked at just now did. Okay, now the key thing as well with all of this, which is really kind of sits underneath all of this, it is absolutely essential that all of this data that is collected by a business is secure and protected. Okay, so particularly a large business, you think a supermarket, okay, has an absolutely astronomical amount of data that it's kind of sitting on in relation to its customers. Absolutely essential that this data is secure and protected. Okay, the business has to make sure that that data cannot be accessed by unauthorized individuals, therefore protecting the business against data breaches, data losses, or thefts. And that is also essential in complying with consumer protection laws related to privacy. So the legislation we have in Australia that kind of covers this area is the Privacy Act 1988. Okay, federal legislation. Now, at first shot, look, if you don't really know, if you don't do legal studies, you don't know how law works. Like 1988, that might seem a long time ago. Like, how can that be relevant? So this is obviously the original Privacy Act, and this will be amended constantly. So over the years, particularly in relation to technology, there would just be this piece of legislation would be amended constantly to account for and allow for new technologies that are becoming available and are being used. So this would have had many, many amendments over the years. But I would imagine even over the last 5 to 10 years, a huge amount related to all the kind of stuff that we've been talking about here, just because of the amount of information which is generated by businesses then and then is stored for their use later on. Now, advantages and disadvantages. Okay, so again, same story as before. Pause and get these down. But there is just one I want to focus on here. That top disadvantage there, you're seeing there is still the potential for data breaches that may damage a business reputation. So whilst we're saying, there's legislation around protecting data and business need to store it securely, so on and so forth, still on a daily, weekly, constantly, there are breaches. Okay. So just some examples, okay, just from 2023, just from the first 6 months of 2023, there have been, across Australia, there have been hundreds of data breaches where hackers, generally who knows why, sometimes these hackers do it just for fun and because they can. Sometimes it's literally to steal customer data, which can then be used for nefarious purposes later. Lots of reasons why it happens. But the reality is it doesn't matter how much businesses try to protect themselves from this happening, it still seems to happen. Okay. I guess there's a constant battle between, IT security and the hackers. They're constantly trying to get one up on each other. But look, just some examples. Like I said, there are hundreds, but just some examples of brands that you will have heard of that have had data breaches in the first 6 months of 2023 alone. So Toyota had one, Medibank has had one, the NAB, the National Australia Bank, Optus, Afterpay, Coles, The Good Guys, JD Sports, PayPal even. Now PayPal obviously is not an Australian company, but it's impacted its Australian customers. So the reality is, though, while there are laws against this and businesses will do their best, the reality is that you need to be aware data breaches are still going to happen. I guess the point from the point of view of the business, you just need to be doing your best to negate the eventuality of that actually happening to your data. And that is it for that key knowledge dot point for that topic, and also for Unit 2 Outcome 2 marketing. So that is it, guys. I will see you in the next video, which we get on to Outcome 3, which is all about recruitment and selection. So until then, cheers for now.